Okay, we're back a few days earlier than I thought we would be, because it turns out that I got a few things completely wrong on the whole Hugo map thing, so I'm going to go over that, go over some corrections to things that I said in that video, and then offer new theories and ideas based on that stuff. So watch the original video before seeing this, and this one's just going to be the picture of the map the entire time. I was only planning on releasing one other video this week, and I just don't have the time to edit it particularly hard. So, with that out of the way, I'd like to draw attention to a couple commenters, both of whom pretty much said the same thing, Chris Noble and this other name that I can't really read, because they mentioned that it is actually possible to translate the script of All Rest, and from that you're actually able to read the Titan names. The first thing you need to do is realize that these letters all correspond to the Latin alphabet, each one corresponding to one of those letters, and then remember that there are Japanese names to all these things as well as the English ones. I believe the first thing that was able to be deciphered was the name of Torna, because it's got a 3-letter name there, and Torna's Japanese name is Ira, which is only 3 letters, so they were able to get I, R, and A. From that, you can then get the name of the world tree, and I forget exactly what Japanese word it was used for the world tree, but it was one that made sense. And then from that, you actually get enough letters to understand the Titan that I said was Temperantia is in fact actually Sia. It makes sense because it's 3 letters, and those turn out to be S-I-A because there is an S in the name of the world tree, and then obviously I and A from Torna. From that, you can know a few more letters, and just based on the lengths of names, you can put together, obviously, Indal is Indal and Morardain is still Morardain. Those are obvious enough. But then the word by Gormott makes sense to be Gula, because that is Gormott's Japanese name. And the most interesting thing is that the name on Genbu is not Genbu, because Genbu is Genbu, the name of the Titan, in both languages. That is like the one thing that they actually kept. The name of the Kingdom of Tantal in Japanese, though, is Luxuria, and that is actually the name on the Titan. So that is really, really weird, and I'm not really sure what to say about that, because that means that there was something called Tantal on the Titan Genbu before the Kingdom of Tantal was founded. Perhaps there was already a Kingdom of Tantal, and the ancestors of Zeke's family just took it over? Or there are ruins there that explicitly date to the time of or before the Aegis War, so Tantal could have been like a religious pilgrimage place, like one of those areas, like a place you go to test yourself. It probably wasn't as cold at the time, but it could have still been a harsh place, like how sometimes you gotta climb a mountain to go on, or go somewhere on a vision quest, that kind of thing. A bunch of various world religions involve taking pilgrimages to specific places, and maybe Luxuria was just the site of some specific significant ruins or something, and then they founded the kingdom around that or something. I'm not really sure. That could make sense. I don't really know. But apparently there was something called Tantal on Genbu before the Kingdom of Tantal. So one of the things I guessed was completely wrong, that being that Sia was Temperantia. So we know where Sia is. Temperantia is not there now, which makes a lot of sense, so that's still perfectly fine. I'm still going to say the one to the west of Gormott is still Specia. That definitely makes the most sense to me. So the Titan that I called Sia can now be something. And the Titan that I called Estem can also be something. So what are we going to do with that? Well, first off, people pointed out, both in the comments and in a Reddit thread that happened to be posted the exact same day I made the previous video. It was before it, they weren't ripping me off. They came to different conclusions as me, so I'm not accusing any plagiarism or anything there. But they came to the conclusion that that Titan is actually Oriya leaning backwards and breaching. I could buy that. I could totally buy that. Especially based on the fact that Sia looks the way it does now that we know that one Titan is Sia. I could totally see that being Oriya. So if that's Oriya, that makes Oriya not being there make sense, because it's Oriya. Oriya should be on this map, in my opinion. So if Genbu is there, Oriya better be there. So I like the idea of that one being Oriya and not just another Torna-looking Titan. because Araya should be there, it's not marked with a big label, so it seems like the major world powers in the eyes of Mor Ardain are the ones that are labeled. Indal obviously allied with them to take on Sia, who's there. Torna is always huge, so they're there. I don't know why Genbu is labeled like that. And then Gormott, which did actually have its own sovereignty at the time, so that makes sense. I guess they didn't view Araya as too big of a thing, and Specia being small makes sense. But we've still got to worry about that Titan directly to the south of the World Tree, because that one is still a Mystery Titan, and it could be many things. My first guess is that that one would then be Estem, because while yeah, it does have a little bit of text next to it, if you look really close, those two lines of text that are right next to it are the same ones that are above Araya, are the same ones that are above Specia, and are the same ones that are all the way at the top of the map, so that's actually just copy-pasted text. It does not have a label on it. The only Titans that are labeled are Indal, Gormott, Sia, Torna, Genbu, Mor Ardain, and then the thing that I called a squood last time, which we'll get to in a minute, and one other sea monster-like thing directly below Mor Ardain do appear to have labels on them, but I can't actually tell if that is the script or anything else. I'm pretty sure the texture itself is too low resolution to read it anyway, so we're not going to try to decipher any of that stuff. So I'm going to say that one's Estem. It could be the Cliffs of Moritha, because it is the closest one to the World Tree out of all of these, but at the same time, it is not shaped like the Cliffs of Moritha. Some people were saying, okay, Specia is a smaller Gormott-shaped Titan, what if it's the Cliffs of Moritha? Like, oh, Amalthus sank it, and then something that somehow became the Cliffs of Moritha? Like, maybe, but at the same time, the glimpse of Specia we get and the geography of the Cliffs of Moritha don't make sense. Like, maybe a lot of the cliffs have crumbled away, so it would be very different, but the huge wide open spaces in Specia that you do see are significantly larger than any open area on the Cliffs of Moritha. You also don't see any hint of the ruins that are there, so I'm not going to go along with that one, but I do believe that the Cliffs, Specia, and Gormott are all the same kind of Titan, like how Araya, Sia, and Genbu all are. So I'm going to say that that other Titan there is Estem. It's not labeled with anything, so it could very well just have been something that faded from relevance or died off or something like that. People were also saying that it could be the Titan Rexy's sink at the beginning of the main game. That's definitely not true. That Titan was very small. Like, bigger than one of the Balloon Titan ships, but smaller than the Ardanian Battleship Titans or Argentum. So it wasn't big enough to be a nation. Well, that one definitely wasn't Estem or something, but it also probably was not big enough to be a Titan on this map. Next off, we can move back to the sea monsters. Some people were saying also that, oh, those couldn't just represent monsters, those could be other smaller Titans. Yeah, that makes sense, but I'd say the thing that looks like a serpent directly east of the World Tree and the thing that looks like two giant tentacles directly north of it, those are probably supposed to be monsters. There's another thing that looks like a serpent below Mor Ardain that's labeled. That one's probably a monster. There's something that looks very slightly like a fish fin in between Estem and Torna. I don't know about that one. But the big thing is the big tentacly squood-like one that's in between Sia and Gormott. Because that one, people were saying, could be the central Titan of the Leftherian Archipelago, because we know that it's got a big Titan. That's also the Titan Elpis is built into. So it's significant enough where it could be on the map, and it would also solve Leftheria's absence, but I'm not really sure, because, again, we don't know about the cloud barrier. The cloud wall that hides that Titan completely could still have been in place at that time, because, like, I don't know, basically, the Titan is big enough to gravitate clouds to it, like, I don't know, like a planet would gravitate rings, and that covers it and shrouds it so you can't see it. So I'm kind of up in the air on this one. I don't know. You could leave that one to your discretion. I think that one's supposed to be a monster. But if you think about it, the tentacles do sort of look... Actually, now that I look at this, I don't think that one's supposed to be the main Titan of Leftheria, but I do think that that is supposed to represent where Leftheria is, because Leftheria is made up of a bunch of the smaller circular Titans that have the tapered bottom to them, the tendrils coming out, and then they're also connected by these tentacle-shaped bridges. If you look, this doesn't look so much like a squood, because it's got the round thing at the top of it, and then 3 tentacles unfurling from the other side. So I think that's supposed to represent one of the smaller titans, where it's just that little platform thing and then a couple things branching out from it that you can use as bridges. So I think that's just a stylized representation of the entire archipelago, which makes a lot of sense, because now Araya and Leftheria are there, we've still got Estum and Sia, and Specia, and all the kingdoms that are present at this time exist. So I'd like to go with that. People who are working on translating the Alres script, keep up the good work. I'd love to see a complete translation of it, and maybe be able to read some other stuff in the game. Obviously, it would help to speak Japanese, because these are just names. Names are easy to know. I'd imagine a lot of the other script is specifically Romanized Japanese, the actual talking in complete sentences and stuff, so that's far out of my expertise. I'll leave that to other people, maybe report on it in the future, but yeah, that's all I got. This recording is longer than 10 minutes. I wanted to make it less than 10 minutes to not look like I was milking this, but I guess there was enough stuff to talk about, so yeah, until next time, this is Luxin, signing off.